Hi, this is Kimberly again. Okay, so the last video I got cut off. Let's start again. So the decapitation or the quarterback sack. The story that I used for that is where Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit to go up into the forest or the desert or somewhere. And he fasted for 40 days, which means he didn't eat, and he was really hungry. And then the devil came to him and took him 3 times, which is interesting because the devil actually took him and put him on the top of the temple at one point, and then he took him on top of mountains. So he was allowed to take him places and tempt him, and he said pretty much, "Worship me, fall down and worship me, and I'll give you all this." Well, Jesus said, you've been told not to tempt the Lord your God, which means, Jesus was above him, which is sort of facetious, like, why did the devil think he could do that? But that's none of our business. What we need to think about is it's the decapitation effect or the quarterback sack. And what that is when the devil tries to take out your leaders. That can be your pastor, it can be your husband, it could be just your family leader, it could be a really good friend that's a leader to you, it could be you. It could be you being a boss at your work and the devil getting to you different ways. So it'd be really good if you could read about the temptation of Jesus. The next one is deception. And the verses we use for that are in 2 Corinthians 11. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, so it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond with their deeds. One thing I've learned is you can't really figure out who's an angel or who's a human. What you can figure out is if they're standing for Jesus or standing for Satan. And the way you figure that out is by their fruits of the Spirit. Fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, mercy, holiness, doing for others, not expecting anything in return, standing up for Jesus. People can say that they believe in Jesus, but if their actions don't back up what they're saying, then they're not truly of Jesus. So deception is a strategy that seeks to deceive or trick and can create false perceptions, views, and alliances. Now, one thing to remember that if your perceptions are getting messed with, God has to allow that. So it could be that God's allowing it and it's something that God's doing and you don't want to grieve the Holy Spirit. It could be a test allowed by God. What you have to do is just stick to the Word. For instance, I had a t-shirt that said faith, and I looked back at it one time and then it said crossfader. It had totally changed, which God is totally capable of performing miracles, and Satan is too, and it doesn't really matter to me who did that miracle because I know my t-shirt said faith. What matters to me is my response to the miracle, to what I saw, the supernatural thing. My response is to keep trusting God even though the stupid shirt said crossfader. Okay? Deflection, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Deflection is a military term and technique of shooting ahead a moving target so that the target and projectile will collide. In chess, it's a tactic that forces an opposing chess piece to leave a square. In engineering, it's the displacement of a structural element under a load. For our purposes, deflection can be 3 things. For God's purposes, it's us sending out prayers ahead of time. For instance, if you want to pray for your daughter or your son to meet a good, godly Christian person who's a true godly Christian person, you can start praying the moment that they're born. And 20 years from now, that prayer is going to hit that right person, and God should bring the right person